Hello everyone, this is Creston Spiers, your next president. I know it may seem silly, with so many serious problems facing the world, to spend so much time talking about something as esoteric and seemingly unimportant as the Mandela effect. I don't know how to explain it. I just feel intuitively that the Mandela effect is at the heart of the matter. The chaos into which we see the world descending, the seemingly intractable problems that we face in our nation and world, the Mandela effect, they're all symptoms, somehow, of the same disease. Investigating the Mandela effect feels very important to me, like a turning point for humanity. If we don't do it now, while it's happening, our opportunity will have been lost. Perhaps as president, I might be able to effect some real solutions to the problems that we face. But without a doubt, right now, I can add my testimony to the evidence of the Mandela effect. Now, let's set aside for the moment the knowledge that I have in my own heart that things have changed. Seems to me that there's only two possibilities when it comes to the Mandela effect, and these two choices are objectively self-evident. Either the Mandela effect happened, and many things about our history have changed, or it didn't, and everything is as it always has been. I don't believe they changed for some and not for others. Those who claim not to experience it are, in my growing opinion, in denial, or sleepwalking so obliviously through life that the color of the carpet beneath their feet could change and they wouldn't bat an eye. If you believe that nothing has changed, then you have to address the phenomenon of the so-called Mandela effect as either a product of mental illness, mass hypnosis, government mind control, etc. You have to offer some explanation for all the people who remember things a certain way. You can't just call the people crazy or fools and offer no explanation. That's intellectually lazy. So the challenge for those who deny the Mandela effect is to explain these people and their experiences without being dismissive or insulting, while assuming that they are just as intelligent and with just as much integrity as you yourself. If you believe, as do I, that things have changed, then you face a greater challenge. Because if you believe that things have changed, immediately two questions arise. How and why? If the car Kennedy was assassinated in really was a four-seater, and all the words in the movies really have changed, and the spelling of the Berenstain Bears has changed on the old hard copy books, and Mr. Rogers really... Never mind, you know the list. If these changes are real, how can we explain it? Many people explain it as a giant, intricate, really expensive program of tampering, as if someone physically changed all the books, went online and in the archives and changed all the copies of the Zapruder film and of Sally Field's acceptance speech at the Oscars. How incredibly expensive and daunting an undertaking this would be. It would take years and cost a fortune even with today's technology, not to mention the stealth required to sneak into my home and change the words in my wife's family Bible that we've had since 1960. That explanation doesn't work. It's not a giant case of tampering with the evidence. Besides, if that were true, I would find it just as unsettling as any other explanation. And it doesn't address the question of why. We're left, then, with only three possible explanations for these changes: the supernatural, the paranormal, or the natural. In other words, magic, some sort of science that we don't understand yet, or existing science. Most people seem to be focused on a combination of the supernatural and existing science, as if somehow Satan is working hand in hand with scientists at CERN and the D-wave quantum computing in a conspiracy to bring something about. The apocalypse, the tribulation, the end of the world, the coming of the Antichrist, whatever. That these two forces, the supernatural and the scientific, are working together doesn't make much sense to me. First of all, I don't believe in the supernatural, period. Secondly, I don't discount that we might be on the cusp of incredible breakthroughs in the area of quantum mechanics and computing. But if you're saying these people are working hand in hand with Satan, then why? For power, fame, wealth, sex? How boring. These are scientists. I don't believe that they believe in the supernatural any more than I do. So I don't give credence to the idea that these scientists are working toward a supernatural end. I find that to be nonsensical. So if you discount the supernatural and science, you're left with the paranormal, a science that cannot be explained yet. And I believe that this is what's happening. Our universe is being changed at the micro level of quantum mechanics by human scientists dabbling in experiments with the LHC. They recently acquired the ability to increase the power of the collision. They no longer have to send particles around in huge circles with giant electromagnets. Now they can get those particles to surf on plasma, which immediately travels at very near the speed of light. They foresee that extremely powerful particle colliders will soon fit on tabletops. Scientists claim to have quantum computers that have the potential to punch holes in the very fabric of space and time and trade information with other universes. I've heard it described like a book made up of many pages. Words don't jump from one page to another unless you punch a hole in the page next to yours. That's what they're saying these D-wave computers are able to do. Now, people have been lamenting the hubris and folly of scientific inquiry since it began, saying that scientists were playing God and accusing scientists of ignoring the consequences of their actions and doing things just to see if they could do them, never thinking of whether or not they should. I believe that these accusations have never been leveled with more justification than at CERN and quantum computing. I believe we now actually have scientists playing God and blindly moving forward without considering the consequences of their actions. I believe the Mandela effect is but one consequence of these actions. I believe that our world is being changed at random at the quantum level. But of course our five senses want to make sense of what we're perceiving. Things are different, but we know those things can't be different, so we try and make it the same. But we're just not quite able to get there. Instead of interview with a vampire, it's interview with the vampire. The tiniest change possible. And if you say them fast, they sound exactly alike. It's an inconsequential change. The more consequential the changes, such as the change in the Kennedy assassination events, our minds have a harder time computing. The closest things our minds can come up with still makes no sense and doesn't resemble the original perception enough. As a result, the effect is jarring and upsetting. That's why the Mandela effect can be such an emotional experience for those who have it. I am aware that this explanation of random quantum changes caused by scientists playing God, affecting our perceptions, does not address my previous assertions that the Mandela effect changes have an underlying theme of loneliness, fear, and vulgarity. In order for both of these things to be true, a dark and pessimistic inference about human nature must be made. I'm not prepared to do that yet. I'm going to continue to ascribe to the Anne Frankian principle that all people are really good at heart. I'm going to do it as a choice, an act of free will. I refuse to believe otherwise. Work, love, community. The 5. Creston Spiers for president.